Alright, this is a walkthrough of activity 5-7, exploring the impact of combined shared folder and NTFS permissions. Why is this important? Because more than likely, most of what you'll be setting up will be a mixture of network shares and the effective NTFS permissions that underlie the file system on that server. So, what this is going to show is how we can do a mismatch that even though you have permissions in NTFS, you don't have permissions under share level permissions to effectively evoke. So that's the other thing that you must remember, is that when you're dealing with permissions on the network, most restrictive is what takes effect. NTFS is affecting local file operations, whereas share level is dealing with network users accessing from the outside. So let's start by with number one. We're going to create our folder again on our E drive, and we're going to call it combined. And we're going to do a couple things to it. First off, we're going to go under security, under advanced, and we're going to remove all permissions. This means that only the permissions that we've added, and that's what this second button is. Before we said copy, and that means everything that exists in here from inheritance was copied to the document, but inheritance was broken. We're not only breaking inheritance, we're completely removing all the settings. Yes, we want to continue. And we want to add only domain users. And we want to specify that they have allow modify privileges, and notice that it filled in for right. So we should have the ability to create folders, create documents, do all those wonderful things that we can do. The only difference we don't have is full control. So domain users should pretty much be able to do anything in this folder. We're also then going to create a share, and the way the book describes it, it says don't close, but actually you have to. We're going to create a share with our permissions. We want to remove everyone, and we want to add domain users, and we're going to give them only read level. We've applied, we say OK. We'll double check our settings. So for shares, for our share level permissions, we have read, and for our NTFS level, we have pretty much everything but complete control, but we can modify, delete, add folders, add files. So if we come in here, logged in as a user, and say we want to create a folder, and the book specifies documents, we have permissions to do so. But if we access it as a network resource, now we have, again, this shows you it's networked, so it's a share. We want to add a folder, we're suddenly not allowed, because the most restrictive is our share level versus our NTFS, so that's what takes precedence. If we come in here, and then we're going to change our permissions to full control to almost match, but not quite. This is given absolutely that full control for the network share. We're not changing the NTFS. And we access again via from the network, we are suddenly allowed to create our new folder. Now, we talked previously before about effective permissions. Effective permissions is NTFS permissions. It has nothing to do with the share level permissions. Again, share level is just that. It's the SMB, and then you can crank it down further by doing file level folder and file access permissions with NTFS permissions. And that describes granularity. This is just to give you an example to show how a mismatch between share level versus NTFS level can create a problem. If you have, like I said, share level as read-only, but you give unlimited access to users, it's more restrictive on the network, it kicks in. whereas we could have it open but restrict further with NTFS permissions. That gives us greater granularity. It all just depends on how you want to structure your security. This concludes our walkthrough of Activity 5-7, exploring the impact of combined shared folder versus NTFS permissions.